Hello, 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 and welcome. Good morning and good afternoon. This is Resco webinar series about new features, and my name is Juraj Mojik, and I am your host at today's webinar. So, this is the Winter Update 2021 webinar, which is about the release, which was released a couple of days just before Christmas last year. But of course, as we are recording this, this is 2022, so early January, the next year. And of course, I would like to welcome you all to this session. As usual, we will cover multiple topics about our next release or current release. But before that, I would like to walk you through some of the things how we will organize it today, as usual. So first thing, this webinar is being recorded. So if you would like to share it with some of your colleagues afterwards or would like to check some of the sections afterwards, again, it will be available on YouTube later. Also, you are currently muted, so you cannot ask questions directly, but feel free to write them into the GoToWebinar window and we will answer them at the end of the webinar. So feel free to write them as we speak, as these questions appear in your mind, and we will answer them at the end of the webinar. And I think that's it, so I would like to start. And as you can see, we also have a new updated look of the webinar slides, which I hope you will like and you will enjoy. So let us know in the comments. So this is the lineup for today. Once again, my name is Juraj Mojik. I'm head of product here at Resco, and I will be joined with my colleagues Eduard Kesely, Michal Magnusek, Miroslav Majtas, and Zuzana Barinkova, all product managers here at Resco and all experts in their specific areas, which they would like to walk you through. So we have a lot of topics to cover. I think it will take us approximately 1 hour and maybe some more time for the questions. So let me show you what is the agenda for today. And it's quite packed, so to say. So we'll first talk about the platform. Tree view improvements, floor plans, functional locations, also Geo-check-in rule, contractor project. So as you can see, a lot of topics just within this one area. Then we'll of course talk about Resco Inspections, where we have a very nice feature, scan and extract, and some other improvements will be mentioned as well. Finally, we conclude with Resco Cloud integrations, where we are working more closely with Microsoft Dynamics Business Central and Resco Houston, where we will look at how to integrate via Power Automate. So a lot of topics, and without further ado, I would like to start with platform features which are new in version 14.3 with the winter release of 2021. So with this, I would like to give word to my colleague Eduard Kesely, who will walk you through these improvements. So Edo, the stage is yours.
Okay, I hope everybody can see my screen. So basically, we have a lot of to cover today. My name is Eduard Kesely and I'm a product manager in Resco, and I will give you the updates on the platform features, what we have delivered in the winter release. So let's jump right into it. Tree view. Tree view is here for a while. In a Q2, we have delivered MVP scope for this. In Q3, we delivered search functionality. In Q4, we are delivering even more, and this is something what I would like to show you right now. So far, what was the feedback what we gathered on the tree view? One of them was like, I can just read that, what is on the screen, that the tree view is nice visualization of data in hierarchy structure. However, why I can't add new items directly from the tree view. So if anybody created and configured perfect tree view and there is all what you wanted to see, and you could even search it, but there was no functionality to easily add the new items into the tree view, it was kind of frustrating. So basically, What was our solution? We did the action button on the tree view to add new items easily. So as you can see briefly on this video, there is an option to add a new item on the tree view. This should eliminate the situation where managers needed to search through some home items, needed to search through lists, needed to find where they could add the new items. So basically, everything is available directly in the tree view. I just need to note that if you would like to see all newly added items by this action or by this button, on the tree view, you definitely need to refresh the tree manually so far, but we are also working that it will be completely automatic. So what was the another issue with the tree view? So for example, I can mention that we got the feedback that I cannot find location of the asset or sub-asset on the entity form easily. So basically, there was not an option to add or see such element as a tree view on the form directly. So we thought about it and we delivered something. Right now, there is an option to add tree view into the form on any entity. So how does it work? You need to do it through the Woodford. You need to go to the Woodford first and open any entity and the form designer. And you can basically add their pre-configured tree views. So as you can see it on the screen, and basically the result can look like this. What are you seeing on the screen is entity form of the function location, and you can see that there is a possibility to add such kind of tree views directly on the form. So let's move forward and into very interesting and powerful feature, what I really like. We call it floor plans or plans. And what kind of problems can we address with that one? So, for example, there was problem that my technicians are calling me as they cannot find the asset which needs to be inspected. This is like one of the most obvious problems of the technicians out in the field, that they cannot locate any kind of asset or any kind of customer or whoever. So imagine that your technicians are in the middle of nowhere in the field, and they are inside a factory or a huge office building. And how technicians should know where is what located if there is like thousands of items, what is telling them where to go, what to service. So basically, we also took a look at this kind of problem, and I wanted to bring the solution for that one. So we are introducing the floor plans. This is the example of how it can be used by the technicians. On the short video right now, there are two use cases I would like to show you, or it will be described. So basically, one of the use cases are when field technician would like to localize exact wind turbine out in the field. So basically, in the mobile application, he can click on the tab floor plan, and he can see where is the location of some kind of farm or windmill or any kind of asset which is located on the distant ground. Or there can be a second kind of scenario where technician is trying to localize something inside the building, like inside the office, like a laser printer or like air conditioning. So basically, this is also a very useful feature that can be definitely tagged on the image. So we are using tagged image for this functionality. Technician or manager can view, can see, or even can add the new tags on the image after, for example, the installation of the asset or after the maintenance of the asset. So this is just a small step to displaying any asset more precisely in the space. And basically also enabling us to maybe to bring those kind of assets into 3 dimensions in the future and just to show them in the 3D. So this is really cool, and we would like to enhance it further in the future. And you will be informed definitely about this one. So let's move on into the another interesting stuff what we are also introducing, and it's called like function location. You are probably familiar with such kind of term from the different solution. There was some reason why we have delivered function locations, or why we have thought about function locations. So basically, there was problem like the serviceable asset is in different location than customer HQ address, and it's happening all the time. That, for example, imagine the company running gas stations or the electric charging stations, or really like a small units which are out there, like solar panels, and let's call these kind of items assets, and they are localized outside the official customer address in the most of the cases. So, or imagine the customer with 3 buildings within one campus, and each building with 5 floors. It can be like really complicated structure of the locations, right? So, well, it might be confusing for anybody to localize what they are looking for what they are looking for. So we also try to look at this kind of problem, and we are introducing the new entity, which is called functional location, which can have exact geo coordinates or geo position and more kind of nodes. This is really nice. As you can see on the screen, for example, this is the functional location for the asset. That in the asset form you can define where the asset is located, and it's being defined by the function location. What is pretty cool that you can also create more complex structures by grouping or moving functional locations into the hierarchies, like you can see on the screen that there is a main campus with floor 1, floor 2, floor 3, or roof, and then on the floor 1 there is an office, there is a warehouse, and there can be many more functional locations or sub-functional locations. And they are really important in different use cases to have these kind of entities, and I can also tell you something more about it later. So let's move on. Another pretty nice stuff is scheduled directly from the work order form. So what does it mean? What we are trying to solve here? What I have many work orders on the schedule board, it is difficult to find the exact one that I just created or need to schedule. So if you imagine that somebody created work order right now and then just went and clicked the schedule board and I needed to find it like immediately, and there was like 200 work orders, it can be a little bit complicated or problematic. Or there was different use case, different problem. Like when using the manual scheduling from the work order form, I cannot determine the availability of the resources right in that moment. So as you remember, there is also the option to manual schedule directly from the work order form, but you can just select the resource. You do not know the availability. You do not know the availability of that resource. So we also take a look at this one, and we added possibility to schedule work order directly from the work order form. We, as you can see it from the short video or short demo, on the work order form, there is a button like plus, which will basically reroute you to the schedule board and filter out the work order, and you can basically just by doing drag and drop action, you can schedule it to the available resource. We already have feedback that in such cases that there is no schedule board defined or configured, it might lead into the complications, not allowing to schedule this manually. So we have one important update for you guys, that we value your feedback, what we are receiving from you, and therefore we will release the new hotfix version soon, where we will again allow manual scheduling as well, along with this automatic scheduling or assisted scheduling. So basically to ensure full backward compatibility. Okay, another good stuff is coming on. It's called like Geo-check-in or Geo-check-out. We have seen it in a couple of cases with couple of prospects or customers, that one of the problems was that, for example, that my technician should complete questionnaires only when they are on the location defined in the work order. If they are outside the area, they shouldn't be allowed to fill out forms. So basically, this is like really repeating in a couple of use cases. So we implemented the geo-based check-in, checkout using the button click command on the work order schedule entity. So what does it mean? How you can find it out? This is not full-featured geofencing functionality, as you can, for example, see in different other solutions with the visual real-time tracking on the map, with all the perimeters. However, it solves the problem of not allowing somebody to finish the questionnaire or work order if that person is not in the defined distance from the serviceable location. So you can find it, or how you can try that. First, you need to define some minimal distance on the work order, of course in meters. Then you can check the rule and its parameters, what has been defined in the Woodford in the project for the technician. Then to select the work order schedule entity. And in the form designer, there is a pre-configured button command with all the conditions how this rule should behave. And it can be changed, it can be replaced, it can be updated. As for right now, it's pre-configured that it will compare the location of the technician with the location defined in the work order and based on the functional location or account, and calculate if the distance is greater or smaller than what has been defined as a minimum. If it is greater, so that means the technician is not in that location, it will not allow technician to finish the work order and complete the questionnaire. So let's move on to the one of the last parts of the updates from the platform. What we are bringing, or what we are thinking about, what we are also developing more, it's the topic of contractors. We believe the topic of contractors or external workers, it's really huge, and probably you will hear more and more about this in the future. According to our feedback, there are several approaches in every single scenario how to address contractors. For example, I can mention that there can be individual contractors, right? There can be contractor companies. There can be pool of contractors. There can be even contractor marketplaces. So basically, there is so many approaches for the contractors. Some of them might be using our applications. Some of them do not need to use them or do not want to use them. So there are complex solutions out there for the contractors, which might be addressing the all areas of the contractors, from the onboarding, granting the contract, through the providing them with the tools, how to view the work, how to debrief the work, to the payments or the payment systems. So the problem, what we have been focused on right now in the last quarter was that, for example, my contractors cannot see and approve work orders, right? Or I have issues with the documentation from contractors about completed the job because contractors were not, using any kind of applications. They were just submitting, sending paper documents or email documents, and it was not in the system. So it's like a huge complication normally for the businesses. So Resco is strong with mobile solutions for the frontline workers. Therefore, we have decided to start with the functionality such as view, edit, execute work order, and continue to enhance our solution for contractors in the future. So our solution is that, first of all, we are introducing the pre-configured new contractor templates. Then the second one, we implemented the new user roles for contractors, and we also configured some approval process with new statuses for the work order schedule and work order, such as like pending or proposed. And as you can see, for example, on the print screen, this is how it can look like on the mobile application. Then when a contractor see that, he or she can approve that or reject that or propose new date, propose the new quote, propose the new information. And basically the workflow is a little bit complicated as usual, as with internal workers, but it's like obvious. So That's it from my side. But basically, we have one pool for you. And Juraj, I would like to ask you to launch the pool right now. So please.
Okay, yes. So I'm launching the first poll of today. So let's see. I hope you can see it on the screen, our attendees. So the question of the poll is, if the contractor topic is important for you and Resco should address it, or our current solution can already handle it, and there is basically nothing we need to do right now, and it's more okay as it is. So I can already see that we are getting some answers. It's just one answer question, so select just one. And we are getting the votes in, which is great. And once we will finish the poll, I will show you the results, of course. So I will give it a couple of more seconds for all of you who would like to contribute to the poll. And I will be closing the poll in a moment. So I'm closing the poll right now. And I will share with you the results. So here they are. As you can see, 71% of you think that this is an important feature and we should address it in our future work, whereas 29% is fine or seems that our current functionality is sufficient to cover this topic. Ed, or perhaps any comments from your side on the results of the poll?
This is amazing, actually. Thank you very much for your answers. And basically, for me, this kind of results also somehow confirms that the topic of contractors will be with us for the upcoming period, and we would like to also involve more time into that and definitely enhance this kind of functionality or solution for the contractors. So again, thank you very much for the answers, and thank you very much for your attention to my part of the presentation. And I hope that we can definitely continue with other amazing stuff. So I would like to switch it to other great presenters. So thank you again.
And we will, just a moment, of course, I have to hide the poll results. And then we can start sharing the screen here. And I will invite my colleague Miro Maitas to walk us through additions to Resco Inspections. And before I do that, I'll just mention that any questions to you, well, to what you have seen so far, feel free to write them to go to webinar window and we will answer them afterwards. So Miro, please join us and walk us through the additions to Resco Inspections.
Good morning and good afternoon to you all. It's a pleasure for me to present our latest advancements in Resco Inspections today. And I'm thrilled to tell you more about the new functionality that we hope will save a lot of time for our customers, and that is scan and extract. It's useful to begin with challenges we typically see with the businesses to help unpack the scan and extract functionality. So when customers start adopting, implementing, and getting familiar with Resco Inspections, they're usually in the situation when they need to change their current processes and the way they work. And there is a good amount of inspection checklists, work instructions, and other paper forms that are in use and need to be digitized at this point. Customers, of course, want to do this quickly and make them available for the field workers as soon as possible. So, what's Resco doing about this? During the last webinar, I introduced the ability to create a questionnaire by copying question from an existing form into an Excel file and then use the file in the process of creating a new questionnaire. This way, we address the problem of speeding up the questionnaire creation, and we even laid out some important groundwork for what's coming today. But there was something missing. First, getting the questions to Excel file and importing them in bulk is quicker, but it still takes some time. Second, not all forms have copyable questions and can be too complex to extract the questions manually. And third, we think not all people would be able to use this mechanics of questionnaire creation. With Scan and Extract, we tried to overcome these challenges. Scan and Extract is straightforward and really simplifies the digitization process. Thanks to its simplicity, it can be used by non-technical people, say like members of the service department or production department. So how does it work from the high-level perspective? You take your existing form. If it's in the paper form, make a photo of it and use it in the new questionnaire creation process. If it's in digital form already, just upload it and we take care of the rest. The existing form is scanned and analyzed. We look for the text both in typed form and handwritten. After that, we try to semantically understand what the questions are, what the answers are, if they are present on the form, and what type the question is. And then the output is generated. When the form processing completes, we present user with the results. And we can see the output dialog on the screen now. But to understand it even better, I'd like to show you how it looks in practice in a short demo. So on the left side, I have a sample form which I want to convert into the questionnaire designer, basically make it a Resco inspection questionnaire template. So quickly having a look at the form, and what I need to do is hit the new button and start the new creation process. And I can see three options there: blank template and Excel have been there before. And now we have a third option, which is scan and extract. And what you do, you just need to push next, and you are prompted to upload the form. And as you upload the form, there is an analysis going on. And after it's been completed, we are presented with the output. We can check if all the questions have been imported. It seems that that's the case. And now I can do some actions with the output. So for example, I'm renaming the question and changing its type. I decided I'm not going to import the question number 2 and 3. And I'm going through the questionnaire and seeing what else I can adjust. And when it comes to signature, of course, I want to change it to signature type of question so that I can collect the signature from the patient. I switch the date, and when I'm satisfied, I hit next and I continue with the questionnaire creation process and in the wizard. So I name my new questionnaire, and for now I will use skip and create. And we are in the questionnaire designer. And now we can work with the imported questions further, right? So my first question, I it's a single choice, so I want to add some choices. I can do some other edits if I need to, such as I can create smart rules or rules, whatever is needed for the questionnaire to be completed. But this is a simple questionnaire, so I'm done here. And finally, I want to check how does the questionnaire look like in the preview. So the web app displays it this way. I can see there's everything, even the signature was present. So basically, that's the process how you digitize a questionnaire from a paper form, import it to Resco, and work with the question further on. And now I'd like to talk about some technical details of the service. Scan and Extract works with PDF and PNG file formats, which we believe are universal enough for most of the cases out there. The service is currently available on Resco Cloud and Dynamics, and the languages it can handle are English, German, Spanish, French, Italian, and Portuguese. Scan and Extract is currently in preview and doesn't automatically put questions into groups when you import them, when you import the form. Also, the PDF form can be maximum 10 pages long. But the preview is not limited geographically or in any other way, and it's there for you to try and use. Our plan is to improve the functionality in the future based on the feedback, and I can tell you that some interesting enhancements are in the works already. You may wonder, what are the costs of the service? Good news, we made the service available at no extra charge, despite the fact that we utilize a third-party service for the text recognition, which comes at a cost. So how did we do it? We provide every trial organization with a 10-page scanning credit and every production organization with 30-page scanning credit. It is then possible to create an account with Amazon, which is the service we use for text recognition, and use your own credentials with Scan and Extract. Amazon also gives some initial credit for the scanning, so it can be used for free up to some limit. And one important note, if you import and scan the same document repeatedly, it doesn't eat away from your page credit. So some takeaway would be that compared with the previous iteration, we went level up with the new automated approach to questionnaire creation. Scan and Extract does not need pre-processing from you. It does the work for you. And it also allows to process a larger variety of existing forms in use. We hope it will save thousands of hours of work and make the questionnaire creation accessible to wider audience outside IT departments, so that more people, more regular people can work with the tool. Before I conclude my part of the presentation, I just want to mention two smaller but notable improvements. First is the ability to configure report template for the report commands directly on the button component. People in the office set up the right report template that the button command will use, and field workers don't need to worry about selecting the right template. Second is the ability to multi-select several templates and export them at once. This is also true for exporting folders. And these exported templates are zipped and can be imported into another environment, another organization, which saves the time not to have to import and export and import templates one by one. So that's it from me for now. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'm handing it over to the next presenter.
Thank you, Miro. Hi, everyone. I know that you cannot wait to hear something new about Resco Cloud. So here it is. Misha Magnusek is here, and I will tell you what we have new in the Resco Cloud integrations. So we did a lot of work in the last couple of months, and we released new features for the integration of Resco Cloud and Microsoft Business Central. First of all, for you who use the Power Automate, we released the new connector for the Resco Cloud. And this connector has a new feature, so if you would like to have a generate report feature or access to the questionnaires, or you would like to make the automation based on the changes like create, update, or delete in the Resco Cloud, you don't need to care about webhooks, and you can do it directly with the new version of the connector. So that's the first thing which we have new. Second, we have the OData web service update. So if you use the OData service for connecting Resco Cloud and Microsoft Business Central, you can use the OData service, which has also some updates. But today, I will speak mostly about the new feature of Resco integrations. So this is the built-in integration directly in the Resco Cloud, and you can completely handle the integration with Microsoft Business Central within the Resco Cloud. Voila, here is the specification of how the integration works. Main thing is that the Resco is like a main place where you handle completely and manage the integration directly within the UI of Resco. So you don't need to care about any additional middleware. You don't need to care about some additional setup of third-party service. What you need to do basically is to connect to the Resco Cloud and third-party application. It's a simple. We use the OData connection, so it's a flexible. We take all metadata through the OData. And last year we put extra attention on Business Central, as you know from previous webinars. And we will continue with this activity also to this year. And I will tell you more about our future plans on my last slide. So let's move on. First of all, which I would like to mention is the extension for Business Central, because if Resco is the place where you manage completely the integration, we need to have some doors to Business Central. And these doors are basically with this extension. So first thing which you should do when you would like to enable the integration with the Business Central, you need to go to your Business Central and upload the Resco Cloud extension to create the door for our system to access the entities, fields, metadata, and all this kind of stuff. This extension is available on our documentation. I will tell about it later on, but it's the first thing which you should do if you'd like to set up the integration. So first thing, create the doors for access to the Business Central. Second thing is that you need to go to the Resco, especially to the Woodford, and there is a new part which calls integration. It's still in the preview because we still have some work on it, but it's available and you can try it. It's fast and simple to set up. Basically what you need to do is to name your integration, paste the URL from your Business Central, leave the credentials there, so username and password. And the last thing is the custom query, which is basically the company parameter of the URL. In this case, it's a Kronos company. So that's the thing. And after hitting the save button, you will be automatically redirected to the process of the mapping. And we did some work for the first step. And you can just watch how the integration works with our default mapping. So there are already some of mapping and also entities mapped and also fields mapped. So what you need to do is to just take a look on it, because we take mostly our attention on service scenario. So what we did as a default mapping is the service order, linked contact and customer, service items, obviously, and there are also some additional things like service item lines, items, resources, time entries, and all this kind of stuff, which are basically also needed in the Business Central for creating an invoice and all this kind of stuff in ERP system. So that's the mapping, which we did. And I would like to say a couple of words about the features of the mapping, what we packed in the winter release. There is entities mapping, simple. You can find the external field, external entity, which is the entity in the Business Central, and local entity is the entity in Resco Cloud, obviously. You need to map them. You also have ability to set up the fields, so we can select which kind of field should be met to the local field. And last but not at least, it's the primary key definition. Business Central has some specific approach in the primary keys, and we were sweating a little bit to finish this kind of modification in the Resco Cloud, to have also ability to set up the multiple primary keys and composite primary keys in the Resco Cloud, but it's available, so you can test it and you can map the multiple primary keys and composite primary keys in the Wood Fort. And finally, it's lookup mapping, because if you would like to create the relations between entities, you can use lookup mapping to set up which entity should be related to which one in Resco Cloud and also in the Business Central. So here I have some updates regarding the features of the integration to understand what you can do, everything with this tool which we delivered. It's export and import of the mapping. If you would like to save the time and you have the really similar project of the integration, you can export the whole setup of the integration to the zip archive, and then you can import it to another Resco instance or organization. You can also set up the upload and download data filter, so it means you don't need to upload and download all data. You can set up the filter, what and when should be synchronized. You can do the sync on the demand. This feature is needed if you would like to test it immediately, what you did. There is also migration scenario, so you can use this setup of the integration just for one time if you'd like to migrate the data to the Resco. And also there is schedule sync, so if you would like to have this synchronization like repetitively done, you just need to set up the sync schedule for each, 5-10 minutes, and then all data will be synchronized automatically. Over the top, we have the logging to see what magic is happening in the background, so you can take a look on the log files, what and how was proceeded during the synchronization. Here is the link to the documentation, so all that magic is described there. So you just need to go to docs.resco.net/integration, and everything is listed there. Okay, and my last slide is more about the thing which I mentioned also at the beginning. We worked on the integration with Business Central last year, and we still continue to developing this feature, and we keep adaptability in the mind, because we would like to build this integration according to requests and projects of our partners. So if you would like to contact me regarding any project which is connected regarding Business Central, here is my email and you can contact me. We are open to collaborate on the projects with our partners. So that's all from my side, and I will leave my word to Zuzka.
Thank you, Michal, and hi everyone. So my name is Zuzana and I'm a product manager for Resco Houston. So today I'd like to talk about how you can increase the first-time fixed rate of your field technicians together with Resco Houston and Power Automate. So I'll start with a few challenges that organizations are facing nowadays, and I'd like to talk about the following ones. The first one is lack of staff, which can be either caused by the Great Resignation or by a large number of senior workers retiring. This is very closely connected to the lack of know-how, because with leaving experts, you also have lots of knowledge and expertise leaving your company. Another thing is that a new generation of workers require they have different expectations. They want to work for companies that give them tools for them to be successful. They do not want to be perceived in front of a customer as a failure. And the last thing is social distancing, which basically makes passing of any kind of knowledge from a worker to worker in person really difficult. And this is mainly concerning lone workers. So lone workers, they work alone either due to some COVID restrictions or the fact that there is not enough staff, and they really need to support in their autonomy. So how to make these lone workers successful workers? Well, based on the discussions we had with some of the companies, it's two main things. The first one is offline, and the second one is knowledge. Offline for the workers to be able to access the information they need, and knowledge for them to be able to complete their task successfully. The offline is already represented by the powerful mobile CRM application, while the knowledge is represented by the very simple and intuitive Resco Houston app. So how to merge these together so that the technicians could benefit from this? Well, this can be done through the Power Automate template. As you probably know, there is a Resco Cloud connector, which connects dynamic organizations with Resco Cloud organizations. And in case of the Houston template, we are talking about 3 flows. It's the migration flow. That's a one-time manual migration of records from a dynamic organization to Resco Houston organization. And then there are 2 automatic flows, create and update. And these are triggered automatically when an either asset or a product is changed or created on Dynamics. Please note that these flows do not modify any records on Dynamics, so it's just a one-directional transfer, but you can modify these flows to fit your needs. So what is migrated? We are talking about 2 entities. It's the asset on Dynamics and product on Dynamics. On Resco Cloud, it's asset and model, and in Houston terminology, it's equipment and model. So how it works, we are basically associating asset on Dynamic with equipment on Houston. So the worker goes into the list of assets, he selects the asset he needs, he clicks the Open Houston button, which automatically opens Houston application and the particular equipment detail page, where he can browse the list of guides and manuals so that he can fix the problem, or he can contact one of the experts associated for this particular asset. Once the problem is fixed, he can either go back to the mobile CRM application, or he can use the back button to browse the Houston application. So let me show it on a quick demo video. So this is my Dynamics organization and the list of assets. As soon as I create or edit an existing one and I save the changes, the flow triggers this transfer into the Houston organization. I can see the list of the successful ones. I can also edit the flow to fit my needs, as we mentioned. And then I can see the changes reflected in the Houston backend and the equipment list. And this is the mobile worker flow. So he goes into the list of assets. And when he selects the asset he's standing in front of, he clicks Open Houston button, and now he can browse all the information that he needs to complete the task successfully. And it's really a visual, easy to process information with some visual annotations, safety warnings, or tips how to make the job differently, maybe. Once he's done, he's asked to fill in a quick feedback, which he can skip. But this is a really useful information for the knowledge manager on the backend to know whether the guide helped to solve the problem it was created for, and if not, what needs to be updated. So the feedback was sent. Now I can go into the second tab, which is the library of all the guides, which I can filter according to categories. And I can also harvest undocumented processes. This is a 3-stage process, really simple process to send rough information from the field to the person on the backend. Only the fields that have the little star in it are compulsory, so I can associate the process with equipment, add description, as well as category. The second stage is adding photos and descriptions of individual steps. Again, just the step title is compulsory, and I can either use photos from the library or I can take these photos of the machine I'm standing in front of. Once this is received on the backend by the knowledge manager, he will then standardize it, he will give it proper association, proper language, and will distribute it across the company so that the knowledge is decentralized from the experts to the whole audience, let's say. And it also contributes to what we call continuous improvement. So next time when a junior worker comes up to the problem, there will be a process for it. So this is the preview. As you could see, I was already an author of the guide. And the last step is the list of experts I can call through the AR video call if the guides didn't help me to solve the problem. So what are the benefits? The first one is supporting the field workers to do their job successfully the first time without any errors, without rescheduling, and without frustration on both the technician or the customer side. And the second benefit is capturing and sharing the tribal knowledge and undocumented processes for the sake of what we call continuous improvement. So what's next? This is just the first step of bringing Resco Houston closer to our existing client base. Obviously, we are not stopping there. We want to bring knowledge in form of Houston guides into the platform so that the technicians could use it within one application, one experience, and one backend. So this is planned for 2022. One last thing from me. If you want to join other companies who are becoming Houston pilots, let us know. There is a 6-month free pilot program you can join. If you are interested or if you have any further questions, let us know at houston@resco.net. That's all from me. Thank you very much, and over to you, Ray.
So thank you, Zuzka, and thank you to all the presenters. There was a lot of content that we have seen, and we are basically reaching the end of our webinar. But before I let you go, there's one more poll that I would like to execute, or maybe two, which is about a feature that we released in the preview mode with this winter update. We haven't talked about it because it's basically something that we used to explore the mobile payments area. And if you would go into our documentation, you would see some details of it. But what I'm interested is actually what are your experiences with the mobile payments, if you've seen it in your project and if you actually are interested in this topic. So I will launch one more poll, which is about the opportunities or projects or situations where maybe during the last year you've seen mobile payments being requested. And I can already see some some answers coming in, so feel free to provide them. And we also, again, as last time, will share the results with you. So I can see that we have most of the results or answers already in, so I will be closing the poll in a moment and also, of course, show you the result. So, closing the poll and sharing with you the results, which are majority of you haven't seen this request during the past year, but around 40% is divided in between 1, 2 to 3, or even more than 4 projects requiring this functionality. And this is actually an interesting result, which encourages me to show you one more poll, which is about the mobile payments, of course, and which asks about the types of payments that you have seen, because there is no mobile payment like mobile payments. So if, of course, you have seen these types of requests, were there more about, and this is a multiple choice question, which means that you can select more than one answer. Was it just card payment terminal, or maybe online payment via card, or online payment direct debit, check or cash, or other? So again, I see some answers flowing in. This will be interesting to know. So let us know what were your experiences, and I'll show you the results in a moment. Okay, I believe that most of the answers are already provided, so I will be closing the poll and showing you the results. So the poll is closed, and I'm sharing with you the results. So as you can see, most of the requests were actually about card online payment, which I think is great because it's very much in the area of what we have provided with this release. And we'll talk more about mobile payments, of course, in our future webinars. So thank you for your answers. I'm hiding the results right now, and we'll continue with the final slides of our presentation. So once again, I would like to remind you that if you have any questions to what you have seen so far, feel free to write them into the GoToWebinar window, because in a moment we will answer them. But before that, one more note about our release notes. And from the discussions with you, we understand that this format of webinar where we explain the features, give you some sneak peeks of how it works, and then you go and check the full release notes in our documentation actually works really well, because there you can see the more technical details and how to set them up. So I encourage you to check them and go to this link which you see on the screen, or go to docs.resco.net, where you can find our wiki. So there you can see all the features, and of course we have mentioned a lot of them, but not all. But with that, I would like to get to the final section of our presentation, which is the Q&A. And let me check what kind of questions we have. Okay, so I think that there is one question that we could answer. So I think this one is for you, Edo. So the question is about the features from actually your first segment, right? The field service. And the question is if these features are in the field service module only. So Edo, what's your answer to this request?
Yeah, so thank you for the question. I can cover this. So short answer would be, I would say that yes, these functionalities should be available in every module. So, or any use case, not only in the field service. These, we are considering them as a platform features. So basically they can be reused also in other scenarios as well, or other accelerators. During my presentation, I was also mentioning that we have like tree view improvement, scheduling, geo rules, or floor plans, function locations. All of these should be available also in other modules. Just one note regarding the floor plan, I haven't mentioned it previously, that floor plan is right now hard-coded only for the function location entity. So however, right now in the spring update, you will hear that we would like also to make it available for the other entities. So that would be my answer. It is also available in other scenarios.
Thank you, Edo. And what I can see, there is one more question that just got in. It's about Business Central integration and financial accounting focus-led projects. I think this question requires a bit of further discussion. So Samuel, we get back to you via email and start the discussion over there. So with this, I would like to thank you for your attention on today's webinar. There are 4 releases this year planned for Resco, so I'm pretty sure that we will see or hear each other also in the coming months. I think sometime around April we could have our spring release, so we could hear each other again then. So thank you once again and see you next time.